If I were to ask you about the previous Poppy Playtime chapters and what you think of, what would you say? Chapter 1, you would probably say Huggy Wuggy or the introduction to the series. Chapter 2, you'd probably talk about the interesting and unique character of Mommy Longlegs or maybe the introduction to the prototype. Chapter 3, you would say maybe Catnap, the introduction to Poppy Gas, how good Chapter 3 was, the music, on and on. But Chapter 4, usually people talk about how it glitched and was sucky at first. Maybe on how the Doctor was a cool character, but for me, I think of Doey. Not from like a boss battle or design standpoint, but from more of a character standpoint. He's easily one of the most well-written characters we've ever gotten. His character not only gives us the corrupted and evil look inside of the Playtime Co. company, but it also shows us how sad and tragic it is to be turned into one of these toys. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. How Poppy Playtime gave us one of the most saddest characters I've ever seen. First, we have to talk about the introduction to Doey. It was right after he brutally murdered Pianosaurus right next to us. R.I.P. You be missed, Pianosaurus. We miss you. Once he introduces himself, he shows up as this nice guy. He's giggling, he's moving all over the place. He's a really jolly guy. Kind of reminds me of like a Rubber Hose cartoon character. And it's really nice to see a happy character like this in this game, because usually all the characters are depressed or evil. The only nice characters we get to see, like Kissy or Poppy or Dogday, are either dead or also depressed because of the place they live in. So seeing such a jolly character like him fills you with this suspicion, like, what the hell, why is he so happy? Especially once again after we see him tear apart Pianosaurus. Almost like he has multiple personalities. We kind of get to see him switch attitudes as we go along. Sometimes he's nice, or other times, like when he's carrying us across the ledges, he gets really, like, scared or serious and quiet for a moment before lighting back up again, like he's switching attitudes. Even when he's talking to Poppy in Safe Haven, he seems stressed and like mad or like scared and sad. Especially at the generator, where he keeps switching from sad to serious to angry. It's like he's going through this roller coaster of emotions, but maybe not emotions, but personality. And that's what I want to talk about when the final time we see him. You see, after the prototype uses the bombs to blow up Safe Haven, we finally get to see him crash out and show his true personality, as he argues with himself. You may just think he's going insane after years of being stuck in a toy's body, but no, he's literally talking to himself, because there are multiple children inside of him.
What?
His multiple personalities aren't like the disorder where you have like multiple motions or personas that you switch from. He is literally 3 kids in one body. One angry, one sad, and one more of like a justice type smart one. And we get to see this tragic scene of all 3 of them trying to hold themselves together. Each one of them having different ways of coping with the suffering they went through. One doing it by anger, crashing out and lashing out towards others because of the anger he went through. One being depressed and sad from the stuff he's went through. And the other one, the one that's more straight thinking, and the one we see in the VHS later in the video, he is the one that shows it by protecting others. He doesn't want this to happen again. And with all 3 of those personalities crashing in one body, they have nothing else to do but just lash out. As the building crumbles onto Doey, he comes out something worse than we've ever seen before. Now, take a look at this design. You may just think it's some like weird mush of poop, maybe, I'm not sure. But there's a lot to take in from his design in this form. As we can see from the face, 2 of the eyes are sad or scared. And only one, the third one, is mad. And there's 2 pairs of arms holding the mouth open, and thus one not doing that. The 2 other kids, the ones that are more straight thinking, are trying to stop Kevin, I'm pretty sure, the one that is filled with anger, from killing us, the player. Once again, going off that idea that they are literally fighting each other. Their personalities are crashing. Their ideas are, like, mashing together. It is generally just so sad to see these kids all went through some horrible things, not be able to work together due to their different coping mechanisms. But finally, after a long boss battle of running around and dodging his attacks, we lead him to an ice maker type thing. I'm not really sure what it is. And we freeze him and crush him. Him screaming in agony as we just sit there doing nothing else because we've done everything we could. We can't just stop it because he'll kill us. It's too late. They're gone too far. Him giving us his last words, a simple "I'm sorry" before dying. And finally being set free from this eternal hell that he was forced to be in. I guess you could really say this wasn't a hour of joy. Oh! That alone makes him one of the most well-written characters in the whole series. He did that in just one chapter. He captured our hearts in only one chapter. A measly, 3 hours maybe. And I'm really glad they did that, because with most chapters, we didn't really get to see the horrors of the company in the characters. Sure, we got to see what the company turned them into, but we never really got to see what they did to the characters. What I mean by that is that most of the characters we've seen, like Huggy or Catnap, they can't talk, or they choose not to talk to us. And for that reason, we never really get to hear or see what psychological damage being turned into a toy has done to them. Sure, maybe in the VHSs we see the child them cry, or maybe some of that, but we never really get to see how they act after that. How are they doing? They go for this idea that they show the child before being turned into a toy, and then they show how evil and corrupted they've become. And that would be cool if they don't kill the character at the end of the chapter, which, of course, it's okay, but, come on, if you want to make a really good, well-written character, you can't just kill them without getting us any, personality to make us care for their death. So, Doey being this nice guy who talks to us and leaves these VHSs that I'm going to talk about soon, really lets us care for his character and gives us an inside look of what the company has done to him and the psychological damage it puts him through, the torment that he goes through every day by simply just being a toy. Now, around after we kill Doey, we go up to this weird room with a slide, and we put in this VHS, and we hear this recording of Doey contemplating if he should just leave, if he can finally be free from the responsibility he has given himself. From what I think, I'm pretty sure it's the straight-minded Doey, the one I've talked about how his way of coping with what they've done to him is not letting it happen again. He's being a guardian towards the other toys. But what's actually in the audio recording is him standing around, I'm pretty sure, the exit to the jail. He can finally just leave and be free from the torment he's being put through. He doesn't have to starve. He doesn't have to do any of this, but he stays willingly. Doey decides to stay and protect the children. He decides not to leave. He could leave. He could fully just leave. He chooses not to because he wants to save these children and free them from the same torment he has been put through. And man, is that such good character writing. This is really, really such a good character, and I clap for Mob Entertainment for cooking with this character. And not only that, but even in the beginning cutscene where we see the trailer, it foreshadows that he has 3 children inside of him. That scene where, he turns the whole house into dough, the picture frame turns into 3 doeys. Interesting. So here's a quick rundown of what his character is, just a quick reminder. Doey's character is a physical representation of the horrors and suffering that Playtime Co. has put on children. He is the unwanted responsibility that they have to do now to assure that it never happens again. And just like how it shows when he argues with Poppy about them having clashing ideas of what to do with the children, he has 3 children who've all went through the same things but cope in different ways. And that's really it. That's his character. And it's really beautiful. Now, going off topic for a little yap session, I feel like most horror games forget to make good characters, instead focusing on trying to be scary and horrifying, talking about, like, the horrors of the, like, company or monsters. And they usually do that by showing the crimes or maybe gore. They never show the horrors that the villain or company has done by showing it through the characters. And that's why I think Poppy Playtime does it so well, by doing it like that. A prime example is actually Five Nights at Freddy's, a game I usually glaze and, like, always talk about how good it is. I can admit that they show their lore really horribly. No offense to God Cawthon, I love you. I swear to God, you've made my childhood, but you do not write lore really good. And it's not saying that FNAF's lore is bad or anything, because they have a beautiful story, a tragic one, about a man who, throughout time, his ego ruined the company about fun and making people happy and corrupted it, and now it's about, like, killing people and covering up their evil crimes. It's a beautiful story, but you do not need, like, 12 games, 25 books to say that story. But once again, I'm okay with that. You can make 50 FNAF games, and I would still be eating that up. But with enough glazing, there's nothing really else to say. I've really done everything I need to say. So thanks for watching. If you have watched this to the end, just thank you. Thank you for 300 subscribers, too. And goodbye.